In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use an addEventListener for event handling. So it is in this section of your book, 7.3. And basically what you want to have happen is upon an event that occurs in your page, some user interaction, you want to call a function. And what we've done up to this point is use a push button, and on the click of a push button, we would call a function. And let me show you what I mean. Right here, if you take a look at my HTML, I have an H1, a P tag, a couple of lists going on. I do have an input field just for some test input with the user, and then I have this button. So what we've been doing in the past is we would have onClick set equal to some function call, right? So you would call a function here and something would happen when the user would click the button. So instead of doing this, we're going to use an addEventListener. And that's what you'll find in your text here. So the events, it could be the click of a button, a focus event, a blur event. There's samples of those in your book. There's some additional ones here, mouse and keyboard events, but there are lists all over online. But what I want to demonstrate is this addEventListener method and how this works. So if you look at the syntax here, it's addEventListener. So it waits to listen for whatever the event is. In this example, it's a click. And then you have a function name here, so you call the function. So when this happens, on what element, you're specifying what element here, then call this function. So let's try that. So instead of the onClick being embedded in your HTML tag, right, this all goes in your JavaScript. So let's first create the function that we're going to call. So what I have going on here is I have a header, an H1 tag, and what I did was in my style, I have it display being none. So I set the property to none so that when you first launch the page, it's hidden. And then on the click of the button, we're going to change the display to block. And what that will do is it will show the H1. So the first thing we need to do is write the function that is going to override the style property and change the value to block. So let's write the function first. So it's going to be function, I'm going to call it show text. And so now go get the element. This is my header, my H1. Change the style, change the display property, and set it equal to block. Okay, so what I'm doing here, I have to fill this in. I'm going to go back up and look and see what I called my H1. But when the click occurs, I want this function to be called, which is going to get element by ID, go find my H1, change the style, right? Change the display property, and set that equal to block. So currently it's at none. It's going to change to block when this function gets called. So let's go find the H1 ID. I don't remember what I called it. It's called test show. So that's what's going to go here. Test show. And now we add the addEventListener. That's going to happen outside of a function. So I want that to happen as soon as the page is rendered. So again, it's going to be document.getElement by ID, but this time we're getting, what are we listening to? We're listening to the click of a button, so we have to get this ID here. Right, and then it's addEventListener, and the event is keyword click. We're putting that in quotation marks, and what we want to have happen is the function call. So here is the function name, no quotation marks, no parentheses, semicolon. Okay, and so what this is going to do for us, right, as soon as the page is rendered, it is waiting for this event to happen. As soon as the button gets clicked, We're going to call show text, and then we're going to show the H1. So let's give this a try. Okay, and here you can see the H1 is not displayed. Click me, and there is your H1. You can do this with other events. So I was just playing around, and I thought I would, after the user enters in something in an input field, they typically tab out. That would be the focus, right? So you stayed focused on it, and then the blur when you leave it. So what if we added add a listener to the input. I called it test ID. And we added the blur so that when the user tabs out of the field, we want to do something. So we could call a function, right? So write another function that will change some inner HTML somewhere. Let's do that. So change text. So let's write a function called change text. And find an ID, find a field on the page, and change its inner HTML to, we'll just say new text. What do we want to change? Let's just change this existing one here, this list name, to this one. Where it says other languages, we'll change that text. So ID, we'll call it other languages. So that's what goes in here. Right, so the user is going to enter something into the text field, tab away, and then this is going to happen. So let's do that. So enter some text, tab away, and notice that this changed to new text. So those are a couple examples of ways you can use the addEventListener. And as I said, there's a whole list of different events you can listen for.